What up, everyone? Welcome back to Commander versus Special Edition with Justin Parnell, Jeremy Knoll, John Suarez, and Stephen Green. We are here today because we get the honor of unveiling one of the new Innistrad Midnight Hut Commander decks. Thanks to our good friends at Wizards of the Coast, thank you for this free preview of the entire deck of Coven counters. I will say, Coven counters does have my least favorite two-color combination in all of Magic. Want to get that out there.
Is that like kitchen tops or like bathroom?
The Coven is in the Witch's Coven.
Okay, I was just wondering, like, did they, do marble? What do we got here?
Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have a side business that's also called Coven Counters.
Okay, yeah. I just felt like we were selling stuff. Yeah.
To do all of your summoning and such, you might need a different source of income. So,
okay.
Coven Counters. Anyway, things have really changed since the last time we went to Innistrad.
Yeah.
Right? A lot more organized. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through first all of the brand new cards that we have for this Commander deck, which I believe is 16 or 17. And then touch on a couple of the new cards that are in Innistrad Midnight Hunt. And then we're going to go over the deck as a whole, including all the reprints. How's that sound? Great. Okay. Good news, I wasn't going to take
anything.
I
didn't
care
what
Steven
said.
Didn't care what Steven said. So we're going to start with what we always call the face commander of the set, and that is Lenore, Autumn Sovereign. Well, this card immediately, when you see it, gives you an idea of exactly what Coven Counters does if you weren't sure by the name of the deck.
Just right on the card.
Because Lenore, Autumn Sovereign is a 0/4 for 2 green, white, a human noble, of course, legendary creature, and it has the keyword Coven. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. Then if you control 3 or more creatures with different power, draw a card. You have your Coven, you have your counters, you have your legend. Boom, we're done. Thank you, everyone.
Got your peanut butter in my chocolate. Yep. Yeah, this is an interesting card. I think that with the ability for Coven, the fact that the commander right out of the box starts as a 0 power is going to be great for the ability, just because you're probably not going to have very many zeros in your deck.
Yeah.
There are a couple in the deck. We have gone through the list, and we know that there are a couple in here. And if you build it around that, there's a good chance that you're probably only going to have like maybe 1 or 2 others.
And most creatures you play in Commander have more than 0 power.
Correct.
Quite easy.
Green creatures, lots of green creatures that accelerate mana normally have 1 power.
Yes.
So between your mana creature and your commander, you're almost certainly just going to draw a card with any other creature in play.
This is very close to just saying if you have 3 creatures.
Yes.
It's pretty close to saying if you have 3 creatures.
Yep.
And of course, with green and white, you have a ton of +1/+1 counter synergies.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to have a commander that cares about that.
Because it's about powers, Stephen.
Yeah.
Powers.
So I want everyone to know, when I first read this card, I messaged Jeremy and I was like, what? Like powers? Like flying and first strike? I thought they were superheroes, and sometimes you're dumb. Like me, I was dumb, and I just misunderstood this card. I don't even know how I misunderstood it. I've read it again. It's very understandable.
It's very clear.
It's just
what it is.
Steven has played Magic for 20 years. This is not even close to the first time this terminology has been used.
But they said powers, and I immediately went to like the MCU. I was like, yeah, like flying and trample, and I was like, yeah, they gotta have different powers.
Yeah.
Nope, that's not what it meant.
I like it. Also, so that people know, in our notes, Stephen did actually put, sometimes I can be dumb.
Yeah. To let everyone know about that.
So I do like Lenore, and it look on its face, it doesn't look powerful, but that's because this is going to be a sum greater.
Than its parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also really nice because it's not at the beginning of your upkeep. It's at the beginning of combat. So you play it, you're pretty much going to draw a card right away. You're going to get that benefit.
And if you could get some more combats.
We're playing green and white, so
yeah,
it's going to be
pretty limited.
Now, I do like Lenore, but I have to say, it's not my favorite green-white legendary creature in the box.
So our second one that we have here, which is the secondary legendary green and white creature, is Kyler, Sigardian Emissary. So we got someone from Sagarta. 2/2, 3 green-white for a human cleric. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Kyler, Sigardian Emissary. Note it says another human, not another non-token human as well.
Yeah.
Other humans you control get +1/+1 for each counter on Kyler. So this one I think is really sweet. We've seen this kind of effect before. It is kind of a Door of Destinies type effect for your human tribal deck, but we've seen it on like Jiraga Watercaller for elves, Kangi for birds. But this is just very cool in like overall in this deck, I think.
Yeah, not only that, but there's a lot of words, not just what it says, but what it doesn't say. You
Yeah.
note it doesn't say non-token.
Mhm.
It does not say cast. It says
Correct.
enters the battlefield. So playing this and then immediately playing like
Any number of things. Company, Court of Call, anything that searches Screen Suns.
I was just gonna say
Any of the token makers, the one that makes a bunch of human tokens for white,
Yeah.
and 6 or whatever it is.
white 5,
Five.
make 5
Yeah.
Increasing
increasing devotion, makes
yeah.
makes 5/1/1 human tokens.
Yeah.
which become 6/6s.
Yeah,
probably.
just immediately.
Yeah. So and also again, it doesn't care about how the counters got on.
Nope.
Yeah.
Just that the counters are on Kyler. And again, green and white, very, very easy to put counters on creatures. So
And this is also another thing. It doesn't say that, like, again, we were talking about things it doesn't have on it, because it doesn't say for each +1/+1 counter on Kyler. And we were just, a couple of sets ago
that's true.
in a set where they were going to
With
give you
Ikoria.
ability counters in Ikoria. So you put in a couple of those, you give this flying, you give
Like
this a vigilance.
powers?
Yeah, like powers.
power
There you go,
counters.
power counters.
Yeah,
yes.
power counters.
You give this a
You randomly give it a power
a
counter.
flying counter, you give this a vigilance counter or whatever from one of those. That
Yeah,
counts.
It counts.
That counts. So
It also, because you mentioned that, if you give this negative counters, your humans still get pumped.
If you give it one -1/-1 counter, that will work out. Yes.
if you give it
I just want
if you give it a charge counter,
mainly
whatever.
because
Yeah.
you could have 10 positive counters on it, and someone
then-
could
then it
give
goes-
it
no,
for
then
they
it goes
don't
away.
No,
they
they
go away?
erase.
away.
They
Yeah.
erase.
But if it's just one negative
Now,
counter,
now
that
Steven,
counts.
how have you never heard of powers, but you are recalling a rule from 1995?
Listen, I also like this card. I think it's more of a Cathar's Crusade on a stick in
Yeah.
your humans
Yeah.
deck,
Wow, that's a
and that
powerful
seems
card.
like pretty powerful. You
It's
know,
very
just
powerful.
what were you doing? Doesn't matter. I'm playing humans. Attack you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big bashy.
All right, so we're going on to our next card here.
Yes, this one's mine, and I actually like this card a lot. This is Celestial Judgment. 4 colorless, white sorcery. For each different different power among creatures on the battlefield, choose a creature with that power. Destroy each creature not chosen this way.
Now listen, it didn't say powers. That's why I wasn't confused.
That's why you weren't confused.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
got it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I think this card is really, really sweet in the pre-constructed deck specifically because this deck is designed already to kind of have the multiple
To
counters.
manipulate them.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to just basically have 0 through 5 and wrath everyone's board
Yeah.
and just keep your board
Mhm.
for 6, which is going to be really, really cool.
The effort you have to put into this is incredibly minimal,
Very.
and it looks a lot more like Plague Wind for white than it reads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the things that I was noting here are we've had a couple of their wraths with choices in the past, like Fell the Mighty or Harsh Mercy, which give you the option of kind of saving some of your stuff or killing a bunch of other things, but saving yours specifically. But those take a little bit more effort because they have the clauses that are. This one, like you said, you basically can manipulate it to the point where you are plague winding. The other way you can do it is that you can just kind of politics your way out of it because it does say
Yeah.
you choose them. So if you're like, hey, I'll let you keep your 2x.
I personally only think the card's okay because of that. It's because sometimes when I Wrath of God, I really want to kill everything, and there are going to be occasions where, because of the way the card's worded, I'm going to have to choose to let you keep your 6/6 because I don't have a 6.
So I'm not as worried about that. I'm worried about the extreme cases.
All the way up.
When you have really big, if you have a really big creature, I'm not going to be able to kill that creature.
Yeah.
If you have a 17/17, that's going to stick
It's
around.
always going to
Insane.
stick around
Yeah.
because of the
Because
way
there's not
it's
going to be
worded.
2 of those.
If it's out there, if there's a 19/19 out there, you have to choose it. You can't be
Yeah.
like everyone but that. We don't want that.
Yeah.
one. No, you got to
Yeah.
choose that one. It gets
That's
to stay.
more of my concern, but I think in most cases, like this is such a build around Wrath, and if you have a card like this, you're going to make sure you can take advantage of it to a pretty extreme standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. Our
Right.
next one we'll get
It's-
into.
It's me.
Yeah.
We have Curse of Conformity, which is a 4 colorless 1 white enchantment, Aura Curse. Enchant player, non-legendary creatures enchanted player controls have base power and toughness 3/3 and lose all creature types. Now, the first thing I want to remind everyone, this card does not take away creatures' abilities.
Yeah.
So it just turns them into 3/3. It doesn't hit legends, but after reading the card, I feel like it would be fine to hit legends because they don't lose their abilities. They just lose their creature type. So I feel like
The thing is,
most of the time it's going to be fine.
I think, much like we're going to see later on, I think this curse targets yourself.
It could, yeah.
That's
I
what I
could
was
turn
gonna
all
say,
my
yeah.
Llanowar elves into 3/3s.
Well, this deck is designed to have counters, and it's base power +3, or
Yep.
basically +3/+3 if you're depending on what the creature
Or
size.
I would say +2/+2.
Plus two,
We'll
plus
say
two.
they're
If
all
you have-
1/1s,
So they're all
but-
3/3s.
If you have small creatures that have +1/+1 counters on them, this is going to either give them +3 power or +2 power.
Now, in saying that,
But it
though,
also has the flexibility to charge your opponent.
it's a nombo with the other legend because they lose being a human. So
they don't come
it's
in.
give and take there. You
Yeah.
would lose some
You don't get all the
pumps
counters that you
probably.
get.
But if you had put a bunch of counters out, it would essentially be
yeah.
pumping.
Your commander is going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, you put in here that, compared to humility,
Yeah,
Which-
without the loss of abilities, but
Yeah.
yeah.
which I also like I thought humility and also overwhelming splendor, which is the other curse that does this similar effect, which costs 6 white, makes them all 1/1s, basically humility, can't activate abilities that aren't man abilities or loyalty abilities. So it's a little bit cheaper, but yeah, I kind of agree with Justin. I think you're going to probably cast this on yourself like a decent amount of the time and pump your
Yeah.
small mana dorks and
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, when I look at this card, what I see is a well-designed card that you have the option to choose yourself at a pretty regular rate, but if someone's getting a little frisky on the other side of the table, you can shut that down.
Yeah.
Now,
You
but
still
I'll
have
say-
the option for both, and that's what makes this a good card.
I was going to say, in saying this, if you're playing against an elf deck, they can have 3/3s because they're not 12/12s. Once I turn them not into
Yeah.
elves. So
Yeah.
If they're a tribal deck or something and taking
That's
away
the-
that ability, it's nice too.
I just think that the flexibility is really nice. Like, as long as you know that when you're targeting yourself, you're going to get a benefit from it, but you can always remove someone else's bigger benefit.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, next we are go back to creatures. We have Moorland Rescuer. This is a human knight, is a 4/4 for 5 and a white. It says when Moorland Rescuer dies, return any number of other creature cards with total power X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is Moorland Rescuer's power. And then my least favorite line in all of Magic, exile Moorland Rescuer. Now, why you got to put that on there? If this was a black card, you wouldn't have to exile.
don't
I'm
want-
just saying that.
well, yeah. Oh, it's
well,
white.
it's white.
Yeah.
It's like that's like
It's
drawing
white.
cards.
You got to pay the white card tax.
Yes.
Anyway, this card is obviously incredibly powerful because it doesn't say 4 power; it says X power.
Yeah.
And you're doing +1/+1 counters. You're pumping its power. It is very easy to get this to a point where you are killing it during someone else's turn and returning the vast majority of your graveyard to the battlefield.
Yeah. It's yeah, like you said, it's going to be a lot of counters. It's going to get pumped. It's almost assuredly, unless it's on like an empty board, it's almost assuredly going to be more than 4 power.
In my head, I always go worst case scenario, and I paid 6 mana to play this, and then they killed it, so I got 4 power back,
Yeah.
which could be good, but might not be good enough for me.
Look, I'll just say when I see exile a card, as a reminder for all of you, always pack your pull from eternities, okay? People are going to be exiling your cards. We don't want that. And sometimes your own cards exile themselves.
You can pull from Eternity and Rift Sweeper in this deck as your upgrades.
You sure can.
I didn't think about that, but you can.
You sure can. Let me tell you, I hate when people exile my stuff. I always come packing with those.
Yep. So, yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, solid card. So the next one we got here is Sagarta's Vanguard, a 3/3 for 4 and a white, Angel, Flash, Flying. Whenever Sagarta's Vanguard enters the battlefield or attacks, choose any number of creatures with different powers. Those creatures gain double strike until end of turn.
Well, that's crazy. It gives them another power.
Gives them
I
another-
know.
yeah.
That's, man,
So
they're real powerful now.
The one thing I noted about this card is that people with +1/+1 counters tend to just throw them around willy nilly,
Yeah.
and the cards in this deck you're gonna wanna think about where you're putting your counters
mhm.
Yes.
because you want to make sure you have 3 different creatures or 3 different powers in play.
Yep.
You want this card to be able to give most of your team double strike, so don't just have a cleric class that's just putting +1/+1 counters on the same creature over and over again.
Yeah.
Hey, that would still be good though. Hey, I like this card mainly because I'm usually a huge fan of all the combat tricks that leave something behind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you still
Yeah.
get an angel out of it, like
Yeah,
know,
3/3
this is your
flyer,
flash
yeah.
creature. Like you had put, you could use it for attacking and defending.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I really like that. I just really like the combat tricks where I still got something.
Yeah.
Like, you blocked or fogged me, but I still had an angel behind. There's something left behind to remember that good attack I made.
Yeah, because like I said, because it has the flash, you can use it that defensive time
Yeah.
to like, all right, they're gonna attack enemy, and my creatures like are smaller somehow.
Well, now they have double strike.
But now they got double strike.
Now they
so
got
I'm gonna wipe
powers.
out some of your stuff. But you can also do it, but the thing is that this deck really does seem to want to tap out, and it's got a lot of really expensive cards that we've seen so far. And so more than likely, you're going to be using this offensively on your turn during combat to get somebody.
But again, like the other card, you got the option.
You got the
You're
option.
gonna play
You
that
got the
defense
option. You got the
if you need to play defense.
Yes.
All right, our next card is Stalwart Pathlighter. This is the next card with the Coven ability. It is a 2-cost or white 3/1 human soldier with vigilance and Coven. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So much like Sagarta's Vanguard, this is another card that allows you to kind of alpha strike without having any real concerns, right?
Yeah.
Like this is your frontline medic kind of thing.
It's funny you said that. That's the only thing I didn't like about this card. It has the same power as Frontline Medic.
Yeah,
And I was like,
has
come on.
vigilance.
It has
I
vigilance.
was like,
yeah.
come on.
Has vigilance. Yeah,
It has
listen.
vigilance. It can trade up if it needs to.
Yeah,
It's
but
a
Steven,
3/1.
if you have the reason they have the same power is because if you put them both in your deck, you don't need both. You just need one, and you
Yeah.
wait until this one's gone to deploy the
Yeah.
other one. Come on.
There you go.
You
I
want
mean, this
both
is a
out.
3/1.
You don't want both
yeah,
out.
yeah.
No.
You don't need to have both indestructible.
that's-
then one's
that's
going to go,
double
and then one's going to stay.
Well, that's twice as powerful, though, for what it's worth. Okay.
I like cards that allow you to push aggression in
Mhm.
Commander, and this is a really good one that does
this
that.
seems really easy to activate. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Coven, to be clear, it seems incredibly easy to activate.
Yeah.
It's very little effort
It's
because
very
most of the time it's
similar.
coming on a creature. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very similar to what is it, the frontline medic.
raid.
attack with 3 creatures.
Yeah.
This is-
Bastion. Is that?
Okay,
It's not
Bastion, I
raid.
can't remember
It's
what it is. But yes, that ability. It's basically that ability.
yeah.
You have 3
So-
creatures that are attacking. You're basically
Yeah. So they're all a bunch of creatures that do well in attacking with the Coven ability. The next one does have Coven.
Ah,
Steven.
yes. Welcome to the Wall of Mourning, which is an 0/4 1-colorless white wall. And it has Defender and says when Wall of Mourning enters the battlefield, exile a card from the top of your library face down for each opponent you have. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, put an exile card with Wall of Mourning into its owner's hand. I just want to say what I wrote down is like in white, you have to work overtime hours to draw cards.
hey, look. Now you're giving it a hard time. I want to give Wizards credit because 3 years ago this wouldn't have had the Coven ability.
No.
That's true.
Yeah, just
I'm just-
had that random
You
ability.
just
putting your
exiled all
cards
those
face
3
down.
cards.
I'm just
You know,
saying,
Defender
absolutely
too.
nothing.
I'm just saying to draw
Yeah, they're really moving along.
to draw one card off this, it feels like you got to put a 45-hour work week in. That's all I'm saying. Like
25 years ago, it would have put him face down for Annie.
Yeah,
10 years ago, it would have put him face down for
three,
nothing.
yeah, 3 cards in a multiplayer game. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, these are your Annie cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it,
was
it can draw
it
your
was
cards.
like 15 years ago. This literally just would have drawn you a card because
That-
we have that one.
That
Wall
being
Humans?
said,
Yeah, Wall
this
Humans.
is another 0 in the pre-constructed deck, so
Yeah.
it is going to
Yeah.
play out very well in the pre-con because it's likely you're just going to draw those 3 cards. Now, if they kill all your other creatures other than your wall, you're going to be real upset. But,
yeah. I mean,
you know,
whatever.
I'll give them the credit of being they're finding different ways to give white card advantage, but man, just a bone.
I really don't want
just
to.
just
but
a
they're
casual
giving
bone
it
every
a-
once
yeah.
in a while, just
it's like you could draw some cards, but
yeah,
I'm
just give them
gonna
concentrate
need you-
in white, okay? Just get
yeah, I'm going to need you to work Saturday.
Scionic
okay?
Blast.
Yeah.
White. Just take some damage.
Secret Rendezvous is what I got. That's the closest.
All right, so this next card doesn't have Coven, but it does emotionally, and these are the cards that I like. The cards that are like, oh yeah, this is not a Coven card, but
Mhm.
this is Celebrate the Harvest. This is our first mono green card. This is a sorcery for 3 and a green. Search your library for up to X basic land cards, where X is the number of different powers among creatures you control. Put those cards on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. This is a card that is wildly narrow and is going to be wildly powerful in the decks
Yeah.
that it's good in.
Yep.
Which, for what it's worth, I love when they design those cards.
Yeah.
I put in here comparing it to Harvest Season and
Mm.
Traverse the Outlands, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're narrow, but if you can get it to work, you're basically going to get like almost all the basics. out of
It's
your
going to be
deck.
a lot.
It's
It's
the
gonna be a
perfect
lot.
kind of card to put in a pre-constructed deck.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I would
it's-
agree with that.
It's
yeah.
probably not going to get a ton of play outside of it,
No.
but it's very good for what the deck is trying to do out of
Yeah.
the
Well,
box.
I could see it being an auto include if you played this general. Like outside of the pre-constructed deck. Like you were playing to the powers of that general and you had made your own version of the deck. You might still always include this because that's a really strong effect to have. But like Jeremy said, in a lot of decks, I don't want to pay 4 mana, to search 2 lands. I could do that there's 12 different ways to do that. So.
Yeah, I have to be in a deck that cares about different powers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And wanting lands instead of eliminating my opponent's spaces.
Yeah. You know what? Sometimes there's room for one. You're like, maybe I'll just play a Cultivate, but instead in the Cultivate, I'll just play Celebrate the Harvest. So if I get it, I can get 6 lands all at one time for 4 mana.
All right, so our next one is, I think this, we had a little bit, I think this is the one we talked about the most before this started up recording. Curse of Clinging Webs. It's 2 and a green, or a curse, enchant player. Whenever a non-token creature enchanted player controls dies, exile it, and you create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. My only note was, thanks for the tokens, Justin.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to this. We've talked about the fact that you can play this on another person if you're really worried about them sacrificing a bunch of creatures, because then it exiles, like any sort of graveyard shenanigans, it exiles them.
Oh, this card really keeps up with Grave Pack, specifically Grave Pack. Like if they have a Grave Pack and you're just like, okay, good, I'll sacrifice. You're gonna get
the tokens and stuff like that, and then you sacrifice the spiders. Yeah, but we talked about the fact that you can just play this on yourself. You can target yourself with it.
If you're playing a deck in one of those 1% of decks that don't care about your creatures being exiled.
Yeah.
They exist. I've heard. I've never played them myself, but I've heard that you could do that. I love this card conceptually. Personally, I don't like it because I know it will only be used for evil. But I love the design of it because it's exceptionally good proactively on a player that you're trying to prevent from doing what Jeremy would call shenanigans.
Shenanigans, yeah.
But again, if you are just like, hey, I'm playing a creature heavy deck, I don't care about getting them back. Put it on myself, protect from sweepers every time you turn into a 1/2 spider. Yeah. As we've seen with other cards that put 1/2 spiders into play, they're often quite good, especially in multiples.
I wrote down Corvold deck. Like maybe in your Corvold deck, you don't care about recurring your stuff, and it's just
I do.
You're getting a creature for every sacrifice, and you're drawing a card. But then you can sacrifice the creature again to draw another card later. So you're just like,
well, this is non-token.
Yeah, this does say non-token. Yeah,
I know what it says. I'm saying you sacrificed a non-token creature, and you get to draw a card off Corvold.
Oh, the thing.
And you put a spider in play to later sacrifice 2 Corvold.
Oh,
so
draw another card.
You replaced the permanent, and you drew a card.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's a really powerful card.
It's weird that these are curses, though.
Yeah.
But I guess what else?
Also, I love the flavor text for this card, which amounts to Claire realized too late why no one ever took the shortcut through the abandoned mill.
Our next card is Heron Blade.
Heron Blade.
Heron Blade Elite. It is a 2 colors and a green 1/1 human warrior. Has vigilance, and whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And you could tap to add X mana of any one color, where X is power. I feel like this card it's another one of those pre-constructed cards, right? Like this is going to be very good in this deck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably 1 mana more than being probably broken. I think at 2, this card could be obnoxious.
I just want to draw attention to a card that I played on Commander Versus one time, Marwyn, the Nurturer, and what I was able to do with that. So
yeah, that's true.
A little instill energy and a couple counters on this card, and you could go ham.
This card can do damage.
I'm happy this costs 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
At 2, I think it'd just be a little too good.
Yeah.
I think 3 is the exact right mana to make sure that it doesn't.
The effort it takes to put counters on this is non-existent, and the benefit you get from it is pretty.
Yeah. They tried to restrict it by 1 color, but that's not really a restriction.
Not really.
Not really, anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time when you are using a card that adds X mana, it's not about it's about making 10 mana, not about making 10 green mana.
Exactly. Sweet card.
Yeah, it like I compared it to we've seen this a little bit more recently, like Accomplished Alchemist, which is the one that taps for how much life you gain. It's a 2/5 for 3 and a green in Strixhaven, and then Sanctum Weaver, which is MH2 for enchantments. It's a 0/2 for 1 and a green, which that's an obnoxious because Enchantress decks are always obnoxious. But we've seen this because we had the Defender one back in Gatecrash as well. So
all right, you guys ready for this one?
Yeah.
Prepared. Curbis, the Harvest Celebrant, which is a green X00.
I'll allow it.
It's
Curtis?
Curbis.
Curbis.
Okay.
Curbis is a tree folk legend, and it says Curbis Harvest Celebrant enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it, and remove a 1/1 counter, prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn to another target creature with a 1/1 counter on it.
Like it.
Man, that sure says 1/1 counter a lot.
It
on there.
does say that.
At least 3 times.
Only issue I take with this card is this is clearly a Hydra or an Ooze and not a tree folk.
Definitely a tree folk. Look at it.
I don't
Tree
know.
folk to me.
I don't know.
the
Let's
one-
look-
Roots. They're roots, Stephen. The roots are just spreading out everywhere. That's
The
what
one
it
thing
is.
I thought about when I read the card, just the name,
Yeah.
is that Harvest Celebrant. I immediately was like, that kind of sounds like a Selesnya card, like specifically from the plane of Ravnica.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It might be a card. I don't know.
Yeah, like I looked it up. It's not a card.
Okay,
so,
good. Okay, good.
Thankfully, but yeah, but that was like, I don't know why that popped in my head, but yeah, more +1/+1 counters. I know, John, you had a note here that I actually like.
I'm just a big fan of commanders that get better when you pay their tax. That's
Yeah.
sweet. Like, it's just a part of the game that you have to deal with anyways, and getting a benefit from it, like Marith
Yeah.
and those kinds of things, is just
I
love
mean,
it.
I think this card's going to be good in the pre-con because it's looking like a lot of what you're doing is putting 1/1 counters on stuff.
Yeah.
So you're easily going to be able to save something in combat. I don't know if it was my general, sure. I don't know if I include it too often in my regular decks though.
Yeah.
I agree with John. I think this is a great build around.
I like it.
It's a very interesting mono green effect for +1/+1 counters.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like that if you really wanted to, your first time you cast it, you can cast it as a 2/2 for 2.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
So it's really great.
That being said, what I said,
Can and would.
Yep.
Selesnya counters
100%.
is certainly a popular archetype. So
Yep.
this could
Mhm.
be just an auto include in your counters deck because I figured that your creatures are just big enough not to die, but maybe someone like Justin has some little death touching creatures over there and you don't want them to die. You
Well,
just prevent it.
What I'm thinking about is not only is this good as a commander, but okay, you're putting this in a deck that cares about +1/+1 counters. You know what it's really easy to do when you have a deck that has +1/+1 counters?
Put some plus one.
Put +1/+1 counters on it.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see what I'm getting at.
To
Yeah.
mention one thing though, this only prevents the damage. Your creature still does damage. Doesn't prevent all combat damage from the creature,
Yeah.
just to it. So
Yeah.
I like it.
yeah,
Yep.
I would
like
kill your little death touching creature. You know,
Yeah. Well, what I'm going to be killing is artifacts or enchantments because the next card we have,
You won't be.
you're right, it's exiling them. That's
Exiling.
much better. Ruinous Intrusion. This is an instant, which is an important part of this card. For 3 and a green, exile target artifact or enchantment. Now, Steven, you were talking about how much you like combat tricks that leave something behind. What about combat tricks that take something away? How do you feel about that? Exile target
I
artifact
mean, this
or
does
enchantment.
leave something behind. So
Yeah, a big blocker. Put X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the mana value of the permanent exiled this way. Oh, let me get that 5 mana thing, +1/+1 counters, 5 of them on my creature.
that's certainly a swing.
Yep.
This is a very good gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
It is a good gotcha.
As
Yeah.
you said, exiles instead of destroys, super relevant. Adding a bunch of +1/+1 counters seems sweet.
Yeah.
Our next one is Sigardian Zealot. It's a 3/3 for 4 and a green human cleric. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose any number of creatures with different powers, any number, so it's not actual Coven. Each of them gets +X and gains vigilance until end of turn, where X is Sigardian Zealot's power. Just another big dumb creature that can
honestly,
attack really well.
we've only seen this precon, but I don't know how the other precons even block. Not against this deck.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's a lot of big hitting. Big hitters for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is I mean, we've seen an effect like this before. The important fact for this one is this is a human.
Hey, the one from Ravnica is also a human.
Look at that.
And it's about its power. You can put counters on it. You get double pumps.
There
There you go.
The Beastmaster? Yeah.
Speaking of the Beastmaster,
Yeah.
our next card is Sumberwall Beastmaster. So a 6 and a green for a 1/1 human ranger. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 2/2 green wolf, a 3/3 green beast, a 4/4 green beast, and creature tokens you control have death touch.
I thought we were in Innistrad.
Yeah, you thought so.
Right.
I feel like
So-
this was from Ravnica.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were talking about that before. My
Tristani
favorite
Summon,
card to
yeah.
draft in my cube, first pick, is Tristani Summoner.
That's here
And
you
then
go.
just build a control deck around it. This,
Yeah.
this is just the rare version of that, right?
It is.
It is. I think it does.
It
pretty
does
much
one
the same
more.
does-
One last little thing.
The death touch is good.
Yeah,
That's
Death touch is
not
good.
a- that's
Creature tokens
pretty
getting death touch
notable.
is relevant. And it gives you bigger creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not a bad card at all. when you look at it on the face value, 7 mana 1/1, it's not great,
Yeah.
but you are getting a total of 10 mana worth, or 10 power worth of creatures.
This
and
is
4 different creatures with different powers.
Yes.
this is certainly
Notable.
of the ones I've seen a very not in a counter deck, a very good card to blink
Yeah.
Yeah.
in your blink deck. This
Yeah,
is certainly going to do
It's
some
good
work.
to Blink. It's good to Revelark. It's good to Vesperlark.
Yep.
Oh, it is a
Yep.
1/1. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Ooh.
1/1.
It
You
is
can do
a
a
1/1.
lot of things with that.
Yeah.
Let's remember we go all the way back to what is it called? What is it called? Moreland
Moreland
Rescuer. That is
Rescuer.
a 1 power creature for that, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So
You know
One
what?
power
You've
creature.
changed my mind.
It goes a long way.
They could kill it. I'll get my.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
good.
The next 2 cards we have are actually going to be from the main set of Midnight Hunt. So, next one we got is Steam
We
Room. Talk
have
about
the
a little bit.
Dawnheart Wardens, which is 3/3 for 1, a green and a white. For 1 colorless, a green and a white. Is a human warlock, which is pretty strange for a green-white creature. And it has vigilance,
About
and it has the keyword Coven. So at the beginning of combat, on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Now I want to bring up something. This has keyword Coven, but the ability for keyword Coven has changed with every card we've seen.
What do you mean?
It has not.
It says Coven, but then each card, while it is 3 creatures, does something different. Usually when I think Coven, it's just the part with 3 creatures, obviously.
Well,
but
okay, let me phrase this a different way. Are you familiar with the term landfall?
no, don't go to this again. You know he
Actually,
doesn't know
I
that
am.
word.
Yeah.
Let's talk about power,
Ah,
Steven.
so I see what you're saying. It's like landfall in the sense that landfall is just a land coming into play,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it does something.
It
And
just
this is
says-
just controlling 3
if you
powers.
control 3 powers.
3 different powers.
Why don't you go ahead and read off the flavor text of this one, too?
Yes, the balance of day and night is shattered. We must find the moon silver key.
And guess what?
Found it. Moon Silver
next
Key. That's the
card.
last card. Man, that was a short journey,
Right.
wasn't it? Moon Silver Key. This is the second card that's from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. That's in this Coven counters deck. Moon Silver Key is a 2-mana artifact where you can pay 1, tap it, sacrifice it, search the library for an artifact card with a mana ability or a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand.
That is a card.
Yeah.
It's cute. I like it.
It's simple, flexible.
Flexible.
I like it.
I personally think searching for any artifact, no matter the cost, that has a mana ability on it is very strong.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know, from a mana
I
crypt
like that
to metalworker, there's a lot of possibilities for that card. That's like a tutor for your metalworker.
what are you playing, Rags and Riches?
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, Moon Silver Key. This is for a lot of. This is going to make it into a lot of commander decks. It's
Yep.
just super
Yeah.
flexible.
Cool card.
I think it's neat. All right, so let's discuss a little bit the rest of the cards that are going to be in the deck. We're going to just go ahead and bring up all of the reprints.
Now, I have a note. While you can continue on.
Go ahead.
Now you said it's weird for there to be a green-white human warlock. I would like to remind you this deck is called Coven Counters, which is historically witches and warlocks, and that was the only one.
It's true.
I think it's.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
upset that there's
that's
only,
why I
it's
was
only
like-
warlock.
Just warlocks on green and white creatures. I feel like if we were to look, we wouldn't find very many.
You'd find none because it's only existed for a year.
Warlock has existed for longer than a year, though, right?
It has
Not
not.
magic.
Not
So with
magic.
that last pre-con is when we first got Warlock.
A year ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cross-
technically,
yeah.
semantic. We've had Warlocks the whole time.
Anyway.
Changelings, Justin.
Let's talk about some
Oh,
reprints
God.
here. So we're just going to go ahead and bring all these up on the screen at the same time. But there's a few pretty good ones in
Dan,
here.
I need that me extending my hand and having them appear. Great.
Awesome.
Yeah, to come out of your hand. Yeah.
All right. So, we talked about Bastion Protector a little bit ago, I think. Angel of Glory's Rise, things like that you're going to probably cleansing
get all my
Nova.
humans back.
Yep. I think some of them, the Knight of the White Orchid is just a solid reprint in white. I think like
Yeah.
anytime you
Card's
reprint this, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
We've got an Audric Master Tactician, Micaeus the Lunarch.
Audric Master Tactician seems really strong.
It's
Yep.
also playing to Steven's powers.
Yeah, it gives all the powers.
All the powers, yeah. Yeah, there's just some good Champion of Lambholt.
The People's Champ. Love
Yeah,
Champion of
we-
Lampholt.
Just-
I love that
What
card
is this,
so
getting
much.
double counters, you know?
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
counter deck and it already gets counters.
Steven, talk about not be able to block well. How about you can't block at all?
You just can't block.
No
yeah.
blocking. No blocking today.
We got Death's Presence. Gyre Sage, you want more mana for
Yeah.
your
That's
your
the
counters
one
on
Two
it.
of those in the same deck is pretty strong.
Actually, the one I thought
Yeah.
of was the one that you have to pay like 5 mana to put 3 counters on it. But
Incubation
it starts
Druid?
with Incubation Druid. With the
Starts with
you
0
can just
power.
start putting counters on it. Then.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite Cage Breakers. That's a big
That's a
favorite
big-
of mine.
That's a big
You
card
just
in
want to
this
make
Yeah.
some wolves.
So many wolves.
So
Get
many.
real wolvy.
Shamanic Revelation, you want to
Like
draw
that.
those extra cards and
Probably
it's-
gain
it's
4 life a
Probably
lot,
gain
too.
4 life a
Yeah.
lot.
This is a good reprint for this deck.
Yeah.
This next one, Verdurous Gearhawk.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you hit it every time. Boop, 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 boop. They all have different power.
Yep.
Like it.
As we were talking about, making sure that you're
Yeah, it's
actually.
not-
Yeah,
you
you
can't
gotta,
just
you
throw
gotta
them
be
around.
careful
You
now.
gotta-
You gotta be
you gotta
careful
plan it.
now. I
Yeah.
like that.
We got Sagarta Heron's Grace.
Yep.
Just another nice,
With-
solid
Is that the first one or the second
This is the second
Second
one.
second one.
Okay.
The not obnoxious one.
Yeah.
one? Oh, yes. Okay.
I don't care for that first one.
Lifecrafter's Bestiary.
Like
That's a good one.
like
That's a
that
great one.
So, and then let's see here. We also got some lands: Exotic Orchard, Canopy Vista.
Oh, is Gavany Township in there?
No, it is
No,
not.
it's
Surprisingly,
not.
surprisingly, yeah.
John, and you brought that
Sorry,
up because
Steven.
I've already complained about no Gavany Township.
I did bring that
We
up.
got some other good ones. Notably, a number of outlast creatures. So
Like
that
that.
give creatures
Yep.
either. We got First Strike with the
Falcon.
Antioch Bonkin, the Falconer would give
Oh,
flying.
look at all those powers they're
It
getting.
beats Scale Card, which makes them block 2 things.
Yep. Orzhov Advocist, which is
Oh, that's a sweet
so good.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get counters, and I love this. It is such a good, like, little political card.
And we have multiple just straight up commander staples in this that we've returned to dust. We have Swords of Plowshares. We have Beast Within. We have Eternal Witness,
Like it.
Yavimaya Elder,
Mm-hmm.
Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Swiftfoot Boots.
Yep.
There's,
Okay.
It has
Yeah.
the Tristani Summoner, and it has Juniper Orner Rager, which I think is just
Yeah,
a
it's
fantastic
great for
card.
this deck,
It's such a
definitely.
good one. Talisman of Unity, and then Command Tower, Gross and Verge, Landscape, Emissary Landscape, Path of Ancestry, Rogue's Passage. Yeah, a lot of the ones that you would expect to see, except for no Gavany.
Yeah.
Well, that's because the township doesn't exist now, right? Like that's what's going on in the
Could be
flavorful,
that.
flavor
I
wise,
will,
yeah.
I will say that I
They
feel
burned it.
like we are getting that a lot, though. The mirrored landscape, like that's just what you get.
Yeah.
in
Well,
the
yeah, I
decks
think you
now.
should.
Yeah,
I think it's a good.
I mean, I like that. I like that auto include.
I know you don't have to go buy a whole commander deck for Mary
for
Landscape
no
now.
reason. Yeah. I
Just
did
because
once
you like
buy,
it.
Yeah, I did once buy a commander deck because I insisted on playing the card and it didn't even work. Sometimes I'm dumb. I established that at the beginning of the video. Okay.
Oh man.
Seems sweet though. I like
Yeah.
it.
As much as I generally don't like green and white as a color combination, I do love +1/+1 counters. That is a theme that I really enjoy. So I like collectively. I can get past the green and white to play this deck.
You
as a
heard it
unit.
here first. Justin is playing Coven's counters
Whoa!
in the video
whoa, whoa,
when these
whoa.
decks come out.
Whoa! I don't
That's
see
pretty much
any,
what you said.
I don't
That's-
see any
Nah.
zombie creatures in
Nope.
here, and we're on
That's fine.
Innistrad, so
No,
there's
no,
going to
no.
be
There's
some
warlocks,
zombie
though.
creatures.
There's
Warlocks,
warlocks,
yeah.
though.
You
That's
love
right up
warlocks.
your
You're a
alley.
It's
warlock
not
fan.
quite the same.
Yeah.
I do like warlocks, but I like zombies
Nope,
most.
it's in the books already. Every fan is going to hear this. They're going to know that you're playing it.
Sure.
It's too late.
I think we want to make sure to thank our friends at Wizards of the Coast again for providing us this free preview content for this whole deck.
Yes.
And also make sure that you watch, coming out soon, John and I will be doing an episode of upgrades on this deck as well as the other deck coming out for Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So make sure to check that out.
Is
as
that
well.
upgrades with 2Ds?
Yes.
Yes.
For a double dose.
For a double
On the
dose.
upgrade.
Ah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I imagine we will be seeing you folks suggesting Gavany Township in that.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be
Assuredly.
probably
Yeah.
the
that
number
one.
one number one upgrade.
Mm.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes I gotta throw you a layup.
It's true.
You know,
Yeah,
you gotta
okay.
make you. They can't build the whole deck for you.
It's
Then
true.
there's
They
no-
don't. Yep.
Then there's no path of discovery for you to be like, oh, what about this really obvious card?
Yeah.
Hey, it takes
Just-
all kinds.
And make sure to check it out. We will be back in the studio for that one as well, so it should be pretty sweet actually talking face to face instead of, via webcam. So make sure to check
Oh,
that
that's
out.
nice.
Yeah, it's
How
nice.
convenient.
How convenient.
Yes. So as usual, like, comment, share, subscribe, binge, all that good stuff. I think we're good to go. Thank you all very much. We will be excited to play this deck at some point in the future. I won't say when.
You said we, but you needed to say I.
Well, I won't be
You
playing
will be
it.
excited to
Steven
play
will
it.
be specifically playing this deck. I would play this deck if I didn't think that there might be something I might like more.
Basically, what you said is I would play this deck if it was the last deck on Earth.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I actually do legitimately like this deck. But we're on Innistrad. There's going to be zombies about. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm going to say. That's it. Thank you all for watching, and thank you everyone that actually listened to us talk instead of fast forwarding to take a clip of the card and post it on Reddit for karma. So you're the real MVP. Anyway, for Stephen Green, for John Suarez, for Jeremy Noel, I'm Justin Parnell. We'll see you folks next time.